All right, and I want to first again welcome everybody for joining us tonight, and we appreciate your interest in our platform called Major Clarity. I've got a great set of my staff that's in here working with your students on a regular basis to help them make career decisions and get into the pathways that will help them lead to a very hopefully prosperous career in the future. I want to introduce myself. I am Brian Davis. I'm the Director of Career Readiness for Union County Public Schools. Also have Kim Hayward, who is our instructional and curriculum management coordinator, who covers our career development coordinators and our family and consumer science teachers. We have two outstanding career development coordinators who are in here who are going to be providing a lot of information. They work with the students at the school level. Diana Hollis is one of our new middle school career development coordinators, and she works with 5 of our middle schools. I also have Elizabeth Bartell, who is our career development coordinator at Central Academy of Technology and Arts. So I appreciate their time tonight and all the work that they are doing to help get your students prepared to get into the pathways that will help them lead to those successful careers. So with that, again, thank you all for your time. I'm going to turn this over to Kim and let her begin the presentation.
Thank you so much, Brian. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to do a little bit of a demo for you on Major Clarity. And before we get to that, I want to explain what Major Clarity is and how students would have access to it so that you would understand how they can get in. So first off, I want to make sure everybody knows Major Clarity is a platform. It's for college and career readiness. And it is basically to allow our students to experiment, learn more about different types of career. It's career exploration, it's post-secondary, it's kind of everything on one platform. So with Major Clarity, it is pretty well managed in our high schools by our career development coordinators. Now, we will be putting some links in the chat that you can refer to, and if you go back and watch the recording, you'll also see them. But we do have a career development coordinator at every single one of our high schools. And you can, if your student is in high school and is not sure who that person is, if you go to this link, it will list their name, and there is a short introductory video of that individual. So they may recognize the face and go, oh yeah, that's who that is. And then on our website, which the link is also there, we have everything listed there with their names and information on our website as well. So our high school CDCs in the high school work with all of our classes and our kids to get them into Major Clarity and understand the platform. And then for our middle school parents, we're excited because this year we have 2 new middle school CDCs or career development coordinators. And Miss Alice is with us tonight, and she's going to do part of the presentation. And so she's responsible for 5 middle schools. She has East Union, Porter Ridge, Monroe, Sun Valley, and Piedmont. And then we also have Elizabeth Higginbotham, who represents the other side in the other 5 middle schools. And they go to our middle schools on a rotation basis and work with the students there as well. So wanted you to understand how, who's kind of, I don't want to say in charge of it, but who is most familiar at your child's school with Major Clarity and who could be a resource for you if you have questions and who to ask those questions of. So basically, who has Major Clarity? Well, within Union County, any Union County student that is currently enrolled in grades 6 through 12 has access to Major Clarity. And how they get there is through Clever. And if you're not familiar with Clever, Clever is a single sign-on system that Union County uses for our students. And if you ask your students, do you know how to get to Clever? More than likely, they're going to say, oh, yes, I know how to get there, because they use it to access lots of different things that we get to. So if you need to, just say, hey, I think you get to it through Clever, and more than likely, they will get you there. So that is how they access it. And so for tonight, for the purpose of tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through the platform from the student's point of view. So to give you some idea, I'm going to play the student. And I will be managing everything through the screen so you can follow along. And then Miss Alice is going to start us off. And then Ms. Bartell is going to finish it. And we're going to go all the way through the platform so that you can see what the students have and how it works. We're going to touch on pretty much everything on the menu on the left. However, where we're really going to dive in and spend more time, is we're going to talk about the My Portfolio page. We're going to talk about the assessments. the career exploration piece, the course planning piece, some little bit of work-based learning, and then the final thing is how it all ties up into their career plan. So that's kind of the layout for how we're going to go. So with that being said, I am going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to exit out of my presentation and I'm going to hop over here to Major Clarity. And believe it or not, it did not time me out, and I looks like I am ready to go. So with that being said, all right, Miss Alice, I'm ready. Let's get started.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mrs. Alice. I am a middle school CDC. And I want to take some time and go over the first part of Major Clarity. So the first thing on the left that pops up is the home page called My Portfolio. So within the My Portfolio, as you can see here, this is where the student progress is going to be shown with what they have accomplished within the platform. It has assessments and plans and personality tests that will all show up at the top. And then on the middle there, you'll see the career path test drives and the academic planning. So when they start doing these within the platform, it will record what they have marked as a favorite. Within here at the bottom, they have the career paths and occupations. So they can kind of bookmark things that they are very excited about or interested in keeping tabs on within this portfolio. So if they mark it, they have a one-place shopping to find it again, so they don't have to hunt for it.
So Miss Alice, I'm going to cut you off just a minute because I thought I was in, but I'm not in my account. I'm in the demo. So if you don't mind, I want to get out of this and I want to go into the my demo, if that's okay. So
Okay.
my account. So hang on one sec for me.
Okay.
While I get there. All right. Now we're back in business.
And normally what happens with students who have their first login, it will ask them to take the assessment. So they'll start out that way. Most students, when they take the assessments, it's a personality test. So if we'll go, okay, so My Portfolio.
Now we're back in business.
Okay. So again, this is a housing area of items they have done within the platform. So if you'll go down to the next one, the student journal. This is exactly what it says, a student journal. Here, they can take notes about things they're doing. I know on the middle school level, I'm encouraging my students to take notes about clubs, outside activities they do, if they're in sports, if they're in scouts or a youth group, and they hold an office within those clubs or activities, I tell them to put a note here because later on they're going to build a resume and you'll learn about that and they won't remember in middle school what they've done. So all of that will be included along with any note taking on community service activities they do. The next part we do is the assessment. So when students log in the first time, this will come up as the first thing they'll do. And the personality assessment. This is the Holland Personality Assessment that is known nationally and internationally, personality test. So it will give them statements that relate to jobs and they mark whether they would not want to do this, they might do it every now and then, or this is something they enjoy. So I really emphasize with them to take this seriously because this assessment is what Major Clarity uses to classify jobs for them that they would be good at. The learning style assessment next to it is an academic help. This learning style assessment, once they take it, and again, if they take it seriously, they can learn about styles that help them retain information. There are 6 categories in the personality side. Once it's done, and then on the learning style side, there are also, I think there are 5 on the learning style side. So the learning styles we do to help with knowledge retention, but the personality test. So she's done, and it gives them the 6 categories with percentages as to what least favorite to least favorite. Now, the little I beside there, if they click on that, that's always information. So it'll give them a brief description about if you're an investigative person, this is the kind of habits and traits you probably have at this time. So you can reset the assignment, the assessment there. And normally what we have them do is do this first at the beginning of the year. And then I would have them do it again at the end of the year and compare, because in middle school, it's a real growth time and they change a lot from year to year. And it's kind of interesting to have the kids think about the experiences they have had and how they've changed them through the year. Now, if we go back down to career exploration, which is next, after they take the personality assessment, it categorizes best match to least match in 65 career paths. And these are clusters. So for this person, the fit score, which she just circled there, that tells them how much of a match this is based off of their personality. So this is a pretty good match for them. Now, if this doesn't interest them, they have all 65 pathways they can go and look through to see job availability and what those pathways do. The other thing they can do is, if you go back up to the top, if they know already what they want to do, they can type it up there in the career path search. So we're going to do veterinarian is fine. And so that is veterinarian sciences. So let's say they know this is what they're going to do. So they would actually click on that activity, veterinarian science. And up here by veterinarian science, you will see a star. That's how they can favor that. This is something I really want to do, and they can favor that. This gives them an overall view of veterinarian sciences. And then here are the test drives I was talking about. One of the test drives is to watch an interview. Now, this interview is a generic interview about veterinarian science activities and a general overview. And it'll, at the end, it'll say, score your fit. So once they watch the interview, if they think, yeah, this is not exactly what I wanted, or this is absolutely what I wanted, on that bar scale, they can start gauging. And what Major Clarity does with that is it fixes their fit scores based on their opinions. So then the next activity they have is they can actually do an interactive activity for the veterinarian science, which relates to the job field. And that's having a hard time coming up. There we go. So this is an interactive activity they would do that relates to animal sciences. So it would give them a scenario and some questions, and they would go through the questions and the activity to, again, see, is this something I'm truly interested in or not? So then you would continue on. Again, some more questions. And again, they would go back to your score fit and fit it. Yes, this fits me. No, this doesn't. It's okay. And then they would close out of that. So once you scroll down the occupations for veterinarian science, it gives educational levels. You can go all the way up to a doctorate. And I tell the students that doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a doctorate. That's just with this field, you can go all the way up to a doctorate. And then below that are occupations. So within this pathway, there are several choices that they can choose from that are direct jobs. So if you click on one of those that you're interested in, it will open up, again, veterinarians. There's the star up there to favor it. This is something I'm absolutely interested in. And this gives more details about the actual job. It'll give them wages based off of this area code and the area code they're in. So these wages are based off of this area, and it gives them common tasks they were due. If you scroll down there, work styles, ability, knowledge. And again, it also has more related occupations if they're like, yeah, that's not quite it. Let me try something else. So that is all about the career explorations piece. I am going to hand it over to Elizabeth so she can talk about the academic planning piece.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Bartell, and I'm the CDC at CADA. I'm going to walk you through the academic planning tab on the left-hand side of Major Clarity. Just to throw in, this is a tool that your child can use when planning for classes all the way up through senior year. It's not actual registration, so I want to make sure I throw that out there, but it is a tool to use as a resource as you move through the grade levels. So let's get started. Once the student clicks on academic planning, it will take them to the page where you can select the pathway of interest. So you can see that up there. And then what we're going to do is assume that we are Kim, since Kim is our student, we're going to assume Kim is a rising 9th grader, current 8th grader, and she's going to be our, we're going to be planning for the 9th grade, okay? So first we're going to select the animal science pathway. We want to make sure that that is selected up there because we're going to choose animal science as our example. All pathways have descriptions of what are attached. So just so you know, when you're originally picking those links, they have all the descriptions in them. Okay, so then it will take me to the plan of study. And then what we're going to do is start with probably Math 1, since that's our first one listed up there. And when you click on the plus sign to the right of the 9th grade, because we're planning for 9th grade if you're a current 8th grader, okay, you'll see a list of available courses there. So let's say that our student took Math 1 in the 8th grade. We're just going to throw this out as an example. That would mean that in the 9th grade, our student would most likely take Math 2 honors in the 9th grade. So you will need to click the plus sign next to the Math 2 honors, and then you will see that it is added as a possible course for the math area. So now we're going to move down to elective. Because your other ones, science, social studies, English, those are all going to be done the same way. So elective, all these courses here are considered, when she clicks on that plus sign, all the courses listed are considered electives, okay? So 9th graders are required to take health and PE. So I'm going to select that, where Kim's going to select health and PE as her elective option here. And you're going to see that pops in under elective. And then we're going to move down to pathway elective options. And again, we're going to click on the plus sign to the right of the 9th grade course. And I'm going to select Animal Science 1, because remember, you chose, or she chose, the Animal Science pathway. So that's going to be the introductory course for the elective to start with if you choose Animal Science. So we're going to select the plus sign, that's already there. And then lastly, we're going to look at the supplemental courses. So what supplemental courses are enhancement courses, and they're offered to complement the pathway that you choose. So our student can choose any of these courses available here, and we're going to do career management. How about we do that? So we're going to add career management, and we'll see that that's there. And that's what our 9th grade selection is, and that's how you can do a course plan. One other thing, a couple other things I wanted to go over briefly, the colors. So you see the colors there, and I'm going to explain kind of what they mean. Yellow means the courses are planned. So that means we just selected them. They're scheduled as something that they want to take, but they haven't completed it yet. And if you see a green, that means that your student has completed it. Okay, and that means they've already taken the course. And then if you select a course and it ends up red, like you see in culinary right there over in the 10th grade, it just means that it's not in the selected pathway they chose. But it doesn't mean that they can't take it. They can still take that class. But it just is a little red flag for you to know that that might not be or fall into the pathway that you're selecting when you are trying to select courses to complement that pathway. If you want to toggle back and forth between 7th and 12th grade, you just need to click the small arrows like Kim is doing up at the top. They're really hard to see, but they're the little gray arrows up there by the grade levels, and it will let you know, you can see all those from 7th to 12th that way. So now what I'd like to do is just briefly explain, this is everything for academic planning. Very simple, very easy to plan. You can change it anytime you want. You can change your pathways. And again, it's just a planning tool for you to kind of look and gauge and see which courses you might want to add as you are moving up from one grade level to the next. So now what I'm going to do is just briefly go over a few of the other tabs on the left-hand side under academic planning. Post-secondary exploration is a place for students to search for any higher level institutions for additional training after high school. So our county also uses a program called SCORE for this as well. So just know that platform is also there, and you have both resources. You can enter here your what type of, you can see she's got here, I was going to show you the filter. So lots of filters you can do in post-secondary exploration, and it lets you look, search for institutions. And then the financial resource tab, we're going to scoot over to that. That's a place for students to look for national scholarships, grants, fellowships. There's like 23,000, I think, of these. So lots of resources there for you to look for scholarships and flags. So let's say your student, isn't really going to apply to all their scholarships until maybe they get to be senior year, but 9th, 10th, and 11th, they can spend a lot of time in here starring those and making sure that they're there for them to go back to if they decide they want to look at them later. And then lastly, the resume builder. This is a place where students can create a resume. So, Diana mentioned earlier about the journal. So if you put all your stuff in the journal and you get ready to go do your resume, it's a great place to pull it from. Here, what it does is it breaks it down by areas to make it a little more simple for students to create the resume. And it gives them, those titles, experience, basic information, education, things like that. So, and then that's pretty much it for my part. Did want to just say that Major Clarity feels that this platform should be a conversation style opportunity between students and their parents with the hopes that they can sit together and talk about results and findings and course plans. So it's a great opportunity for you to work with your child and have them pull it up and sit next to you and show you some of the careers and other things that come up as results. So, thank you. I'm going to hand it over to Brian.
All right, Kim. Again, thank you. I want to thank everybody who's participated up to this point. Very good overview, and I want to take just a very brief moment to make sure that everyone understands that Union County Public Schools does offer opportunities for our students to participate in internships during the beginning in the summer of their junior year and in through high school, or their senior year of high school. Internships are for credit. They are they have to get around 100 hours or more of work experience to be able to get that credit. And they do work with our work-based learning coordinators. And what I want to show is Major Clarity is where they can find information out about our work-based learning internship opportunities. So in here, you can see information about some of the different opportunities that we have. And you can also see links where you can access the internship application. Also, if you click on work-based learning partners, many of our industry partners have provided us detailed information about their companies. And you can click on that and you can learn a little bit about some of the companies that partner with Union County Public Schools. This is not all the companies that we work with, but it is many of them who have decided to allow us to post information about their companies. So what I would encourage your child to do, if they're interested and they're of age and interested in an internship opportunity, is to take a minute, explore that, kind of see what's out there, and then take the information that we shared about who their CDC is, go speak with their CDC, and our career development coordinator will help to get them in contact with the work-based learning coordinator to help them have conversations about how to get those started. And what we like for our students to do, they typically, internships are related to the pathway they're in. So that's where that course planning that we were talking about is so important. And what we like to have students to get through those level 2 courses to really be looking at that. That way they have some experience about what they're going to see in that work-based learning internship. So again, it's a great place for you to go look, find some more information in there about that, and see what we have locally available. All right, Kim.
All right, well, we're getting towards the end here, but continuing down on the menu, Application Center is not anything that we use. So we are going to bypass that. That's not a feature that we have in our program for Major Clarity. But the last thing is probably the most important, and that's my career plan. And that's where everything that the student has done throughout this whole process is basically housed into a document that they can access and they can send, print, do whatever they need to. But in my career plan, they can come in and they can add any career goals they may have. They can update it with their education goals, any clubs and activities they want to keep. Their test scores, they can record their test scores. So their test scores will all be housed in this one location. And then under workplace readiness, We offer a lot of industry credentials in our career and technical education classes, and we always encourage the kids to come out here and enter the credential results so that they have a record of what credentials they have. So when the time comes to apply for jobs, even if it's a part-time job, or even if they want to go ahead and include it on their resume, they can list the industry credentials that they've earned and they keep them in this location. So once everything is done, then they can just, of course, just do a scribble of a signature in here on the computer with their mouse. And what happens is all of this is compiled, and if you hit View Career Plan, all of this is compiled into a wonderful PDF that basically is going to give information such as what my career assessment was. You notice I completed it, tells me where I came out high. It also shows anything if I have recorded any career scores. My industry credential is here. But if you continue down, it now has that planner. So it's produced that planner into a PDF format that's easy for me to print, save, take with me. If I go to meet with a guidance counselor, I can say, even though guidance has access to this, if I print it, I can take it in and say, here's what I've got in my major clarity. So all this is printed. Any careers that we may have favorited come up also, and it's listed on here as well. And then if I had favorited any colleges on that post-secondary, those also appear here as well. So all of this is in a PDF document that can either be printed, it can be saved as an attachment, it can be emailed to mom and dad, anything can be done with this. And as the student changes things in Major Clarity, then of course, this is always a live document. They just go back and hit View Career Plan and it generates a new one. So all of that is basically through the menu. The very last thing in here is micro credentials. And these are micro credentials. These are programs that may relate to a certain class the student is in, and the teacher may recommend that they do it. But it tells them on here, these are 3 to 4 hour kind of like mini lessons or things like that, that they can go through and learn more about if they want to continue and pursue that any further. So that's basically the Major Clarity portfolio, program and platform. I don't know, Brian, if there's any questions from the chat or anything that we need to address.
Yeah, and there are a few that I think are some really good questions, but I do want to follow up with one thing that is really important. There is a place in this system, once your child gets in, they can add an alternate personal email address, and anything that they put in here will follow them post-graduation. So I don't want you all to think that they're putting all this information in, they lose it. They can take this with them and access any of this information after they graduate Union County Public Schools. And I think that's really important because it's a great record for the student to look at those things and have for resumes and things like that in the future. So just a great tidbit there. Also, several questions in here. So first question is that I saw in there was who all has access to this as far as students go. That question is all middle school and high school students have access to that. And I think as another part of that is basically that question that who can view the student's data. That data is all stays in Union County Public Schools. Major Clarity has a data sharing agreement to have access to be able to work with us on that. That data does not go outside of that. So I want to make sure that that we're all clear on that. This is not something that we share outside of Major Clarity in Union County Public Schools. So let's see, chat, the questions are coming in pretty quickly, so bear with me a minute. One question is, and Kim, I'm gonna let maybe you want to answer this one. I answered it in the chat, but how does this differ from SCORE?
SCORE is actually a platform that is being used for our college readiness side of the house, and we are career readiness. So SCORE is basically for college exploration, college application. Students can apply for college through SCORE, and also they can request transfers to be sent to colleges. So SCORE, generally students won't start using SCORE until their 11th grade is when I believe they start introducing them to SCORE. And whereas Major Clarity is more career focused, it is basically career to college. We, all of us are parents, all of the speakers that just spoke, we're all parents. And some of us have had kids go through college and some haven't yet. But there's one thing we want to make sure of is when our kids get ready to go to college, please let them know what they want to do, because it's very expensive for them to explore in college. We would much rather them explore in high school or in middle school and learn what their options are before they get to college and then try to explore and say, this isn't really what I want to do. So the major clarity is more of a career to college focus, and then SCORE is from college, takes it from applying to college and going on that way. So hopefully that kind of ties up and makes it a little bit clearer.
Yep, thank you, Kim. Another question that we've had come in there is when students are going to be informed. We have a high school student that is a junior, has not heard about that as of yet. And the answer to that question is the career development coordinators are working with teachers in the schools, and they are going out visiting classrooms. We are about 2/3 of the way through this semester, so they are working through that as they are allowed to get in those classes. So I would expect they will hear something about this as they continue through the school year. Again, they can go ahead and access that through Clever and begin working with that. Another question: is there a liaison for exceptional students? My answer to that one would be to reach out to your career development coordinator. We work with all students. It doesn't matter whether they are exceptional students or students in traditional classrooms. Next question would be, let's see. How does assignment of high school preference of subjects guarantee the match the path the student is showing interest in? So maybe, Elizabeth, that might be a good question for you to talk a little bit about that one.
You're muted.
Sorry, so sorry. Can you repeat the question again, Brian? I was waiting for her to pull up the pathway.
Yep. So how does the assignment of high school preferences of subjects are granted to match the path that the student is showing interest in? So basically, how are we looking at the interest to make sure they're getting in the pathway that we want them to be in, that it shows they're interested in?
That's actually done by Major Clarity. So if they do the career exploration and it's recommended for them and they decide they want to choose that pathway, they're selecting whatever pathway they want. So Kim, am I answering that correctly?
You're correct, but I want to take it one step further.
Okay.
We do offer different pathways among, for example, at CATA than we do at our other high schools.
Right.
So if you have a student who is at a different school, how are you going to know what their options are? One of the things here is all students, no matter wherever you are, all students can click change pathway at any time in their course plan. And when they come up here, because it's set right here, it says Weddington High School. These pathways that are listed are the pathways that are available for students at Weddington High School. Now, I will tell you, these are the same pathways that are offered at all of our schools, except for CATA, because CATA has a couple additional ones for students that are there. But we offer them all across the board. Now, if you have, for example, what happens lots of times in 8th grade, when Miss Alice may be meeting with a student and they're like, well, I really want to go to CATA. Well, what they can do is come down here and change the high school, and they can choose CATA and say, I want to see what's available pathway-wise at CATA. And when they do that, they now see some of the pathways, automotive, because automotive is housed at CATA, so it's all of a sudden, or collision, and that's really at most of our schools, but these will now all come up because they changed it and they selected CATA. So the students can drive and can move between them. They just need to know that if they're in high school and they're at Porter Ridge High School, unless, they really need to remain picking the pathways that come up for Porter Ridge, because especially if they're a junior, they're not going to be able to go to CATA at that point, and anything that's available is going to come up. Hopefully that's not too confusing.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Kim. Another question in there: if I have a student that's adamant about a career in aerospace, is there an internship or partnership already? And there isn't one set up, can we help with that? That's a really good question about work-based learning. And what I would tell you on that, my advice, number one, talk with your career development coordinator. They are a great resource in your schools. You can also have them go ahead and submit the application. One of the things that we do once we see an application like that, if they've taken a level 1 and a level 2 aerospace 1 and 2 class and they are interested in that next level, we will try everything we can to find an industry partner that may be willing to take them. We have several different companies around here that, especially around the Monroe Airport Road, where they work in the aerospace industry, and we will do what we can to try to get a placement. There are times when we can't find an industry partner that's willing to take a high school student due to liability issues and things like that. But we will do everything that we can to try to help do that. So absolutely have them, if they are interested in that, fill out that application, meet with the CDC at their school, and express that interest. And one of my work-based learning coordinators will be working with them.
One thing I do want to point out that we have in here, and I'll have Brian add this in the chat, and I know Elizabeth touched on this, but with Major Clarity, there is not parent access. We don't give logins specifically to the parents. That's just not how the system is. Major Clarity is designed that they want it to be more of a conversation and a collaborative system. So they want parents to sit with their students and to go through it and take a look at it and let's talk about it and make it a conversation. But that doesn't mean that you can't get in and play around and see what's in there. And there is a demo, and this is a link to a demo account at Major Clarity. Can't hurt anything. Now, keep in mind, you're not going to see customized UCPS courses in the course planner. This is a generic demo that Major Clarity has. But it is a tool that you can go in and play around and kind of see what's available and look at some of the career options and look at the information that you're welcome to do so. And then any other questions, Brian, because that's really all we've got.
I do not see any. I just want to, I'm looking back through to make sure I didn't miss one. You answered the question. I did miss one. Can parents get a login? You just addressed that. And I think that pretty much covers it, unless anybody else has any more questions in there. I do have one message. Is this a required or optional tool? That's a really good question. So it is not something that we require every student to use. However, we strongly encourage it because we do think that it is a very valuable resource for career planning. And as a parent of a 8th grade student in Union County Public Schools, my son is actually already using this with his career development coordinator at the middle school. And it's already been able to show some difference and help him start thinking about classes that he is going to be interested in taking in high school and what pathways. So I would encourage everybody to use that. Now, there may be some teachers who may have students come in and log credentials in. If you're a high school student, they may want to have them put those in and record those. And that may be in that classroom something they're asking them to do, so they have a record of that. But generally speaking, it is not something we require every student to do. However, we think it is we encourage it because it's very valuable.
Brian, I did put my contact information up on the screen. If anybody does have questions afterwards, they're welcome to reach out to me. If you have questions involving a certain school, I can get you to the career development coordinator at that school. So it would probably be best if I'm the point of contact, and then I can kind of funnel them out accordingly. So my information is on there, my email address. If anybody does have any additional questions, they're welcome to reach out to me via email as well. And this will be posted on our website, this recording tomorrow. So if you do need to go back or if you came in late, we will have it out there posted on our website. And that web address, again, is in the chat. It's also on this screen right here, is the ucpscte.org.
Well, I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their evening. I know everyone is like us. I'm sure they've had a long day and ready to enjoy some time with their family tonight. I also want to thank Ms. Bartell and Ms. Hollis and Ms. Hayward for taking time out of their evening to be around and answer questions and present. Again, I must reiterate, this is just a really great tool for your students to get used to using and begin exploring. So I would encourage you and your student to take some time to look at this together and have some good conversations about potential career opportunities that are out there. I hope everyone has a great evening, and we will wrap up the session. If again, reach out to us if there's ever any questions we can answer. This video again will be posted in the near future on the ucpscte.org site. And again, we will probably do another one of these sessions in the spring semester, again, to give more parents opportunities to come in and see what we have going on. So again, thank you for the time. It's good to see everyone, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.